weird, isn't it? I feel like being interviewed, but nervous.
You getting nervous?
Yeah.
Don't get nervous, bro. We're just hanging out.
I'm chilling.
Yeah, so today we're hanging out with Johnny Martinez and David Price. And David Price, you run I guess you can unpack it here shortly. We the Medicine, an organization that's built around just helping people through a bunch of different modalities that we're going to get into. But right out of the gates, I wanted to say that Johnny went to Costa Rica with me, and David was, I'm not going to say shaman because that's not your term, your title, but what would you call your position down there?
I would just say I'm a healing facilitator.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to get this out right away is so listeners understand. I did talk about the retreat on a previous episode, and I talked about leaving the retreat a little early, but that had nothing to do with David. David was actually someone that I was super impressed by and I wanted to continue working with. And that's why he's here today to tell you guys about some future retreats, some different workshops, and all the stuff that you do. And I'm excited to continue to get to work with you again. And that January trip, I can't commit to it yet, but I'm kind of leaning towards it, you know?
Oh yeah.
And so how I like to do the show is just introduce yourself, where you came from, what you're about, and then I do want to get into the retreats that you're running fairly early.
Sure.
Statistically, the first half of your podcast gets heard more than the last half of your podcast. So,
good information.
Yeah. So to get your information out there and help listeners that are potentially looking at using plant medicine as a healing modality, I think the sooner we get into that, the better. And then we can circle back around and take the show wherever the fuck we want, because that's how we do it.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's a real honor to be invited here and to talk a little bit about We the Medicine and what we're doing. And so, yeah, going back to the beginning, I'm from Southeast London, and where I was born and raised, and spent the first 25 years of my life there before going off and traveling around the world. And had a very interesting upbringing, lots of traumas I felt for me, and I needed to really find a new environment to be able to deal with that. So I did. I started to travel at the age of 24, and for the next 18 years, I lived and worked in various parts of the world. And on my travels, I decided to, I think it was around 2012 that I really felt that I needed to get some help and support with my own journey and my own traumas. I had a lot of anger stuff going on and a lot of guilt and shame, especially around my upbringing and the relationship with my father. And I was doing a lot of things I shouldn't be doing, drinking a lot and taking drugs and all that type of stuff. And I consider myself an addict. So I really reached out to get help. I saw a really brilliant therapist in the UK where I was able to go deep and really look at how I could release that from my subconscious. And I did. And I was so moved and thrilled with the results that it was then in 2012, I decided to go and learn different tools and techniques to, first of all, to help myself. So I did. I just became a student of all of the different healing modalities. I learned NLP and hypnosis and timeline therapy and all these different tools, transcendental meditation, and spent the next sort of 12 to 13 years really just honing them skills and really working on myself first and foremost. So it was around about 4 years ago that I really felt called to take these tools and these skills and to be able to share them with people in the world that needed them, that needed to be able to reach into their own toolkit and find these empowerment techniques. So 4 years ago, we started We the Medicine. And here we are today, man, 4 years later, and it's all going well. And really happy with the evolution of that. Yeah.
And so We the Medicine, it's most of it is done online through online workshops, correct? Or a little bit of everything?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. We have very successful one-on-one programs
Okay.
where we teach people different tools, different techniques, and it's really got a lot of structure based on what I learned dealing with my own addictions and PTSD. So that's a really powerful program, very successful. And then we do healing retreats in Costa Rica, where we invite people to come over, working with sacred plant medicines such as ayahuasca. And what I found was very early, Greg, was that in my own experience was there was a lot of these retreats going on around the world, especially in Costa Rica, but there wasn't any integration programs there to help people really learn more about the medicine and how to really incorporate the teachings that the medicine shows them. So we created this structure for the retreat where we have a series of different workshops teaching people anything from authentic relating, transcendental meditation, havening, which is a neuroscience technique, how to connect to the elements of nature. And we created that over a 7-day period. So we would have 2 or 3 ceremonies during the retreat. And then during the day, we'd do these workshops, as you know, because I know you've been. And then we also have a 2-month integration program that's built onto that, which is really, really essential and vital for people to be able to stay in this container. And we have online group sharing circles, and it's a really safe space that enables people to share their experiences, good and bad, and hear other people in the group and really stay part of that container. And it works really well. So it's a 3-month program with a 7-day retreat in the middle, and it's super powerful and it works really well. Yeah.
Did you want to give any details of the January retreat now? Yeah, let's unpack what that's going to be and what people could expect. Is it already open for registering and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's talk about that.
Okay, absolutely. So it starts on January the 5th till January the 12th. It's in a really stunning area of Costa Rica in the back of Ocachao, which is close to the beach, but it's on the side of a mountain, and you've got the most amazing spring waters there, with a great huge saber tree, and it's just really, really stunning land that is really well positioned for these types of retreats. Really good team of people there. It's going to run for 7 days actually at the retreat. I mean, it starts with 1 month of preparation. So we'll have like group calls, and I'll be sharing different resources, how to prepare, the diet, all that type of stuff. Because people need that. People need to know that their hand is held before, during, and after. We do that, 1 month preparation.
And people shouldn't be sneaking peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at ceremony like me and Johnny did. That may or may not have happened.
I say no more on that one. I say no more. So yeah, we're going to be, so we do that.
And chewing tobacco, maybe.
Cigarettes.
Chewing tobacco is fine. So we do the 1 month preparation, and then people come in and we get them picked up from the airport and brought down to the retreat center, and we have a big welcome meeting. And, you know, it's from the moment you sign up for one of these retreats, the medicine's already working. You know, This is the beauty of this amazing sacred plant medicine from the Amazon. It's beyond words. It's very difficult to put into words the experience and how you feel. So yeah, the moment we arrive, we have this amazing group sharing and introduction, and then literally from the first day, we're having these workshops. We're going to be having daily yoga and movement, the power of movement, and tapping and shaking, and how to connect to the elements, and really, just going deep together, and spending a lot of time there, and going deep with the medicine. You know, having these workshops with these really skilled facilitators, and it's a great way of just letting everything go, just really just stepping into your authentic self.
Are you going to be the facilitator at the new facility, or are you working with somebody else with for the medicine?
So Janine and I will be the ones that will be organising the retreat, getting everybody there and doing all of the workshops. Janine taking care of all of the movement, so all the yoga, the dancing. There's going to be all types of that stuff going on. I'm going to be the one that's more organising the workshops, taking care of the workshops, teaching the different tools, the techniques, meditations, breath work. Plus we've got other people coming in, authentic relating. We have sound healing with different bowls and instruments and all that stuff, because that's really, really beautiful part of the retreat. And then there's actually a couple that are there that are going to be serving the medicine. Okay. They've got a lot of experience. They've been, out to Peru and Brazil and got all their training in. So they've been doing it for a long time. So we're going to be working with them. Yeah. So they're the ones actually serving the medicine, but we're taking care of more of the workshops and that type of stuff.
Well, and it was, and I told on the last podcast where I talked about this, is that I enjoyed the ayahuasca. I thought it was, I actually thought it was a lot of fun. But your workshops were actually what I feel I got the most out of down there, more than the medicine. And I guess everybody pulls what they need from different. Obviously, you wouldn't be doing all the different workshops if that wasn't part of what people needed. But the humming and like the sound healing and you running that Shruti box and some of the different meditation techniques, I was like, okay, this is real shit, And that's why this is now your whole deal. You know what I mean? And I'm excited now. And that's what makes me want to go back down and like kind of dive in, because I feel like it'll be a little different vibe,
Absolutely.
And I'm not, and I mean, and I know that I'm not trying to disrespect anybody's ceremonies and stuff, but like all the singing and dancing and stuff, that just wasn't, that's not how I wanted to spend my time.
Yeah.
And you could tell like that was their vibe when they're in the medicine,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and I don't know, what do you think?
Well,
because you hear a lot of people that I know use plant medicine and they put shades over their eyes and they lay there and there's no interaction.
Yeah.
And then with the one that we attended, there's like a lot of interaction musically.
Yeah.
A lot of dance and singing, but they didn't want people talking.
Yeah.
And then we were like, we're going to go talk anyways. And it was a powerful experience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you, is there a right way to administer it, or is it just different ways for different people?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, there is different ways, there's different lineages, there's all different types of traditions, and the retreat that you came to, which is very close to my heart, they've been really, really special for me, great teachers, brilliant center, and it's very celebratory. They have a way, there's a lineage, it's in line with the Santo Daime tradition, and they have rules and the way that things are done, and I respect that, and it is what it is. But it's not for everybody, and it's clear. But there is different ways of serving the medicine. It depending on what the lineage of where the medicine is coming from. But yeah, you're right. It's not for everyone. Maybe the new retreat in January will be more your style. It's going to be a combination of Icaros, which is more to the Shipibo lineage of Peru. But there's also going to be like medicine songs and music. I'm not sure there'll be as much dancing because, with the Santo Daime, it's traditional that we start with some dancing. Yeah. And that's great. And a lot of people love that. And I love that myself. So, but yeah, you're right. It's not for everyone.
Have you sat with ayahuasca in that other format?
Oh, yeah.
Like with the blind?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's completely different. It's an absolute different experience altogether.
Is there always going to be a fire?
Yeah.
I think, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Something about the fire in the medicine.
Yep.
Is what I needed. Like, I just wanted to be at that fire, feeling power, like, all night, dude.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for me, fire medicine is one of the most transformative medicines. It's actually a medicine. People don't understand.
Let's talk about how fire is a medicine.
Okay. So fire is an element that in shamanic, in shamanic spirituality, this is an element that is really powerful in burning away anything that doesn't serve you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's parts of yourself that maybe you don't like, or you want to remove, or you're working on, you really can light a fire and take these traits or these limiting beliefs or whatever it is that you'd like to let go of, and you can literally ask the fire to transmute that, because the fire is just an energy, and we are just energy. We're conscious energy, and the moment that we have an intention to give a certain energy to the fire and ask the fire to transmute it, then that's what will happen. This is shamanic spirituality. This is not religion. This goes back 100,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
You can look it up. There's some brilliant teachers out there, like Sandra Ingerman is a great teacher of mine.
What was her book that you recommended on this last night?
She has around 7 or 8 different books.
Okay.
You can just look up Sandra Ingerman. I know I think the book I got was Shamanic Wisdom or Shamanic Spirituality. I'm not quite sure of the title. But she's amazing. And like I said, with the fire, it's a really, really powerful energy to ask the fire to transmute anything that doesn't serve you anymore, and ask for the smoke to carry that off up into the cosmos. So the fire has always been a big part of ceremony.
Okay.
And it's nice for some people that want to go outside and be with a fire, and it's very comforting. As I know you spent a lot of time around the fire. So,
I mean, we wanted to just buy some medicine and go out in my forest and build a big fire and drink a whole bunch of it. That's probably not something that you will recommend.
Oh no.
But it may or may not happen. Yeah. And if it does, I'll let you know.
That fire shit's powerful though, man. That's how in the other ayahuasca retreats or ceremonies that I've done, that's how you go about setting your intention. As you go up, you verbalize it, you put it out to the group, you put it out to the space, and then you put a piece of, I don't know if it's pine, I think pine, because it's got like oils and stuff that crack in it. And then that's what you toss into the fire. That's your release of your intention to like the ether, right, to the other realm. And then once it starts crackling and burning, it sends those fumes up and out into everything. And so it's just a way, like David was saying, of pushing that intention out. And then the other method that I use when it comes to fire for like any practices that I've done is that's been one of the best tools for my breath control when it comes to meditation. Is I like to just envision a fire like right in front of my face, just a flame, because you don't want this all the time. That's like the amplifying energy. If you're looking for that cool, calm, like relaxing energy, like the delta frequencies that you talk about and stuff, it's that slow, calm release of energy. So you don't want that flame to flicker. And someone taught me that in one of my other ceremonies, and that's another thing that I like to do with that.
Interesting. So it's just, you just visualize it in front of your face while you meditate.
Yeah, just a slow inhales, hold, slow exhale, but you don't want that flame to flicker in front of you.
Interesting. You were talking about how you set your intentions with the fire.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you have ways of working with all the different earth, wind, fire,
Absolutely.
Water, all the different elements. And I think it's a good place to kind of unpack what we talked about earlier, because when some people hear set intentions with a fire, they just think you're some crazy fucking dude in the jungle, right? Mm-hmm. But talk about that study where they were showing that thought can affect water.
Oh yeah. I mean, just to mention on that, I mean, the working with the elements of nature is also a big part of our retreat. Mm-hmm. We really invite people to come, and we will go out to the river and we'll do some qigong and work with our own energy and the energy of nature, connecting to the trees and to the waters. I mean, yeah, in regards to the study you're talking about, I think you're referring to the Emoto experiment where they're praying with the water and changing the structure of the water. I mean, it's no secret that, water is one of the great mysteries in regards to like elements of nature. And people are only really starting to discover its potential in regards to its healing benefits. And, my own, the way that my belief system around water is, we all know that 75% of the planet is made up of water, and that the conscious field in between matter, so in between you and I right now, is just water. It's 75% water. So if the science is showing us that our conscious thoughts are changing the structure of water, in my model of the world, when we understand this, it's our conscious thoughts that are always changing the structure of the conscious field around us to create the reality in the now. So,
which, like, when you said this in the car on the drive here,
yeah,
I was like, oh, well, then that's literally what manifestation is.
Absolutely. I mean, I was telling you about an amazing study, amazing talk by Greg Braden, The Divine Matrix, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners would know about. And he really goes deep into this in regards to like the ancient scriptures that had all this information about how we can change this field by creating the frequency of gamma. Now, when you find something you're grateful for and you bring it to your heart and you really like feel that gratitude and really feel it in the heart, which is obviously another technology, you're actually the field that you're emitting out into the cosmos is gamma, is the field of gamma.
So when you're thinking about something you're grateful for, meaning, let's say like a healthy child was just born, right? And you bring that close to your heart.
Yeah.
Are you talking about literally like the physical act of that at all, or just the way that you're interpreting the emotions?
Absolutely. So if you was to close your eyes and use your imagination to bring someone you love to your heart and really tap into that, the feeling of being grateful for that, the frequency of your brain changes to gamma. And gamma is the frequency that, going back to these ancient scriptures, was the frequency that was able to change the conscious field around you. So it's very similar to the work of like Joe Dispenza, which I know like is very on point at the moment. But this goes back thousands of years, and this teaching by Greg Braden explains all of that. And there's also scientific proof. There's studies there that are taken from the Heart Maths Institute, where they can actually show you what the conscious field looks like.
So when you say brain frequency is gamma or delta, do they literally have a way of measuring
absolutely
the frequency that's coming out of your brain?
Absolutely.
And like you can actually watch it go through these different states based on different input stimuli.
Absolutely.
Interesting. So, let's talk through all of them then.
Well, look, let's first and foremost.
We got 3 hours, dude. Let's go.
No. So look, I'm not an expert on this stuff by any means, but what I've learned. So look, let's go back a little bit. So how I started to learn about our power and our potential and how we can literally create our realities by studying people like Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and Neville Goddard and all these people that really understood this whole thing about energy and gratitude and creativity and how we can manifest. I got introduced to this back in around 2011, and I really started to understand hypnosis and what is this thing called the subconscious and how do we go in and how do we use our minds to visualize all these different things. And I watched the Divine Matrix and really understood that when we are present and when we are mindful, we have the ability to use our imagination to create this ultimate reality by going into our future self and bringing it into the now and having gratitude as if it's already happened. So very similar to the Joe Dispenza work.
So you say you think about where you want to be, and just visualize that in your head, meaning like relationship wise or career wise, like
love, relationship, career,
and then give that energy to the current self.
Yeah, but where the trick is to actually be thankful for something
that has yet to occur
in this actual time. So the trick is to actually tell yourself that it's occurred and actually feel the feelings as if it's already happened in the now. So it's like starting with the end in mind. That's another way of saying it. And then once you have created this, so for example, you might see it in your mind as a vision, but the trick is to actually feel it in the heart, because the feeling is the secret. Okay. There's a great book by Neville Goddard who talks about this, and I think that was written in the 60s. There's a video of it online you can watch. Just type in Neville Goddard, The Feeling is the Secret. And then what it is, Greg, is that once you can feel the feeling, is having the gratitude to say to yourself that it's already happened, because gratitude is the ultimate form of receivership. So whatever you're grateful for, you already have. So I learned that, and it really helped me a lot with where I was in my life, and building a business that I had before, and now being in Costa Rica and doing these retreats. I've really used these tools to really make this stuff happen.
Man, what you're grateful for, you already have.
You already have. That's it. Period.
That's the nugget from the show.
Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be more.
Okay.
But no, I mean, it's an interesting statement, and I'm glad we're talking about gratitude, because we talked about gratitude a lot over the weekend. And one of the things I said, more playing devil's advocate, I don't know where I land on all this stuff yet. That's why we're talking about it. It's cool, right?
Oh yeah.
But I was like, is gratitude a contrived human emotion that is based in reality, or is it something that we tell ourselves because we don't want to just accept that we went out and earned it? And I was like, does a grizzly bear feel gratitude if it sits in a river all day and it catches a fish? Or does it just say, fuck yeah, I caught a fish, And I mean, Chris shot that down pretty well last night, and I was like, oh, roger that, I feel gratitude now,
Yeah,
and I'm not saying I don't feel gratitude, but there's also, I start to wonder sometimes if people want to use things like visualization and gratitude and these things that aren't always congruent with just getting up and grinding it out and making it fucking happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And do you guys know who, what's his name? The Navy SEAL that was charged with murder, Eddie Gallagher.
Yeah.
Did you see his gratitude or his visualization post?
I don't think so.
You'll hate this. But he's like, the power of manifestation starts now. You don't have to do a damn thing. You don't have to get out of bed. You don't have to go to work. You just think about it and it's yours. So, but no, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, here's the thing, right? I mean, there was that book, The Secret, and everybody felt, if I just read this book and I think about something, that's it. If I think about that Ferrari, I'm going to walk out.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on. I mean, I'm very old school when it comes to like work ethic. You got to put in the ground, you got to put it in the yards.
Yeah.
But then, where's your middle ground? Because I'm really into like Taoism and the talk of like effortless non-action, right? But it's like if you do nothing, you get nothing.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I look back and feel, is everything a result of how much work I put in? Not necessarily. And I think there's different ways of approaching that. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, gratitude is very important, but also, work ethic is, and attitude and all the rest of it. So
yeah. No, and I've noticed like the way that you guys lived your life in Costa Rica. You wake up, you do some yoga, we meditate as a group.
Yeah.
We do some humming, some breathing exercises, which I would like to get into. But I came home and felt just fucking recharged or refreshed or better, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then before I know it, I'm back on the grind here, which I also like, where I'm eating clean foods and I'm working out hard and I'm fucking like teaching courses and we're shooting guns. It's like, yeah, manly stuff, And I like that shit. And I started, like, I've felt healthy and strong and wild up until the last couple of weeks ago when I threw my back out. But it wasn't until we were upstairs yesterday when you had us do those humming exercises. I was like, oh, I feel calm. And then in that moment, I realized I haven't been feeling calm hardly at all lately. That's a fucking problem.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm the opposite of calm lately. I'm on the verge of being triggered over anything. And it's like, Johnny's laughing because he saw me at the steakhouse on Saturday. I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here before I kill somebody, you know? And at the end of the day, the stuff that you do undoubtedly balances out men like me.
Absolutely.
And when I say men like me, that really means all three of us, because we are cut from the same cloth. You're just someone that's dove in to healing and these modalities.
Yeah.
But like you told me in Costa Rica, bro, when I was fucking younger, I was like barbarian.
Oh yeah.
You know, like wild motherfucker. And this stuff actually helps balance that out.
Absolutely.
And I didn't even know that I needed balancing until fucking those humming exercises. And I was like, I haven't felt like this in a long time.
Yeah. And you know what, Greg, I'm glad you touched on that, because, you know, again, just to tell the listeners, you know, you don't wake up being this guy that meditates and, you know, and it's got the balance in his life. You have to literally look inside, and it's like, do I have the courage to go in and really look at what's going on here? And it takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes practice, and it takes training. You know, this is not like, I think a lot of people have the wrong opinion about people that meditate or people that, you know, into spirituality. But at the end of the day, the way that I look at society and humanity is that we're all just the same at the purest level. We're all just conscious energy. We're all pure at the heart. And thankfully for me, I was guided by spirit, I believe, to find these tools, to find these technologies and these teachings. And it was from a will to just be a better person, and, you know, to let go of these sides of myself that I didn't like the anger and the guilt and the shame and the fear. And it's important as well. I mean, for me, being healthy and feeling good is important. I want to feel good. I want to feel positive. I want to enjoy my life. I want to have joy. I want to be happy. But you can't have all of those things when you're living from the mind. So I was explaining to Johnny yesterday, a big part of the work that I do and teach is how to become present and how to really live in the moment, and to really understand that there is no such thing as the future or the past. And if there's no such thing as the future and the past, if the only time is now, what that means is anger, fear, guilt, and shame that happened in the past don't exist. And then anxiety of the future doesn't exist in the very moment. And there's only love. And that's why, for me, it's been such a blessing to learn that and to understand that. But it's a constant training, because.
So would you say then, like, meditation as a whole, or a specific style of meditation, is just brings you into the now and makes you're literally living in the present?
Absolutely.
And that's where like the real power is derived from.
Absolutely. Okay. It's the only power. Look, just touching back on what you said regarding feeling like more triggered and everything else. So you came out to Costa Rica, you drank the medicine, you felt the experience. I sat with you, I looked in your eyes, I could see your power, I could see who you were. You told me what your vision was and what you was doing, and that you felt that you got what you needed, right? But I always knew that when you came back to the US, that the honeymoon period would, you know, it comes to an end, and then you are feeling more sensitive and more triggered, because it makes you more sensitive and it makes you more aware. But it's like I said to you yesterday, it's not the things that happen to you in real time that causes the anger. The anger's coming from unprocessed emotions or suppressed emotions from the past. And these incidences are the universe poking you to show you what it is that you actually need to go in and let go of, or you don't have to. But if you feel that, you know, you don't want to feel these feelings, or you don't want to be triggered, we have to go in and we have to look at that. And these are the tools I teach, is how we can let go of it, how we can literally unlock it, using neuroscience techniques and tapping and meditation and all that stuff.
Do you think all rage and anger comes from your past? 'Cause let me just say, like,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that it's not, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm very open with my listeners. I've went through some massive bouts of depression, suicidal ideations, and I feel like I'm in a place now where that's no longer me. That doesn't mean that I have no more healing to do or that I'm completely fine, but I feel like I'm fucking light years ahead of where I need to be, or where I have been previously, I should say. I honestly feel like a massive source of my anger is how disgusted and like let down I am from our society. Because when I'm in this gym, bro, you can ask any one of my teammates, high vibration, feeling good, happy, interacting with people. And then when I go out into society and I just see the state in which our society is, man, it fucking starts to get to me. But that's my problem to fix. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that. But I also feel like it's a balancing act, because when we see people that are living a certain way or conducting themselves in a manner which is making our entire society continue to spiral further down the drain, man, we should be mad about that. Because people deserve to have their fucking, some people deserve to be thrown into the wood chipper, right? And are we going to be throwing people into the wood chipper? You know what? I just hit it right there. With love in our hearts, I'm going to throw people into the wood chipper. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, is there a time and a place for that anger and rage?
Right. Well,
do we want to fully get rid of it? I don't know, man.
Well, no, because that's got to be part of your biggest driving force, at least behind mine. Like, any quote unquote success I'll claim to have had has been through hard fucking work and adversity, and all of that stemmed from my anger. So, like, there's a very healthy relationship that you can create with anger. I am very far from it.
Don't misconstrue me and Johnny giving you any information.
Yeah, but I am aware that it exists. Right?
That's what David's here for.
Well, I mean, in answer to the first part of your question, like, is all anger from our past? I mean, I can't honestly answer that.
Yeah.
Say, it is or it's not. But again, you know, from my own experience, I believe there's a lot of situations that happen in our past that we hold on to, anger, resentment. And, you know, is that just coming from this life? Who knows? But, you know, if you believe that you take on traits and characteristics from your parents, then they obviously take on traits and characteristics from their parents. And then that goes all the way back. So when you think about your ancestral line, your lineage, and even if you went back just 1,000 years, just 1,000,
which is just a blip.
It's just a blip. And all of the wars, all of the famine, and every single thing that each one of your blood relations has been through and carried, that spirit that's actually within your heart right now. You can't pick and choose which parts of that you want to feel. Right? So look, we're just humans, and we feel all of the emotions, and we all feel anger. But as it just come from this life, I think it's many lifetimes.
I've talked about this on the podcast before, but have you heard about the study on mice proving genetic memory?
Yes.
Johnny?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think so.
So they took 2 cages of mice.
Yeah.
And they electrified the floor in one of the cages. They would play a certain tone, like some type of beeping sound or a tone. Yeah. The mice would hear the tone, and then they'd push the button and electrify the floor, right? So the mice hear the tone. One tank's getting shocked, one tank's not getting shocked. And then play the tone, shock. Play the tone, shock. And what started to happen is the mice in the cage that know a shock is coming shortly after a tone, when you play the tone, they would start panicking, jumping, trying to get off the ground, like running around, just chaos, right? Mm-hmm. The other cage, no chaos, no anxiety, because the tone didn't come with any pain. Then they stopped shocking the mice and stopped playing the tone. They allowed those mice in each cage to reproduce.
Fuck.
Check it out, it gets worse or better. Then they allowed those children of the mice to reproduce. So now you're looking at the grandchildren of the mice that were shocked in both cages. Or I should say in both cages, right? The grandchildren of the mice. And when they play the tone to the grandchildren, the same one, the grandchildren of the ones that got shocked behaved with anxiety and fear, just like their grandparents did.
Wow.
The ones in the other tank didn't give a fuck about the tone.
So that's the answer to your question right there.
That's
like,
fascinating,
Yeah.
right? And when you hear that, it's kind of like, well, duh, right? Because what are most human beings inherently afraid of? Snakes and spiders. We live in Western Washington. There's no spiders that can hurt you here. But the thought of going out and letting an orb weave or what, like crawl up your neck, like most people are gonna be like, fuck no. Because we have, since the beginning of time, throughout different places in the world, those animals will fuck you up. So if we, you know what I mean? So yeah, pretty fascinating though.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
So I think the other thing with, just to explain on this, right, for your listeners, you can meditate every day, do your tools, spend hours in the morning, which I do. Every morning I've got my practice. I've used my tools. First and foremost, before I'm going out to serve the world, which I do, my cup has to be full. And I didn't always know that, because I think one of the things of when you feel that you had abandonment, which I did as a child from my father, you kind of grow up believing that you don't deserve love and you don't deserve anything. And the way that we do it as children is we blame ourselves for that stuff. And, that kind of makes you a little bit angry and there's other emotions that come from that. And it's normal to feel that. It doesn't matter who you are. But doing these practices, what they do is they enable you to be able to disassociate from that and to see that it's not actually who you are. Because who you are is, in that very moment, that's who you are. You're not that person you're not that child anymore. And I think that a lot of people are suffering because of the parts of their self that they associate with, that they can actually just decide to simply let go and surrender, using the power of their mind and the power of their breath to become present in the moment. Because again, in the moment, there's no past, there's no future, there's only the now. And it doesn't mean to say you're not going to feel anger. Anger's a good emotion. Let's make it clear right now. Anger is one of the best driving forces in the world. So is grief.
Yeah.
Grief and anger. It's about transmuting it. It's okay to feel anger. It's a power. Feel it in your heart, because it's not actually yours. This goes back through your lineage over 100,000 years. You're just getting to experience it now. So anger's okay to feel, but it's not okay to project onto your loved ones and other people. And that's where this work comes in. So
or I would say, let it control you.
Absolutely.
And I've talked a lot about the book Emotional Intelligence, the one that I read that really dove into that. And I felt like I got a handle on it for a long time.
Yeah.
And now anger's starting to fucking make me crazy again. And it's like, dude, maybe I need to read the book a second time, Yeah. But that was the whole concept, is like, you can feel it. You can feel the emotion inside of you, but don't let it affect how you don't allow it to affect behavior.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but me and Johnny had a little incident with a waiter, and then she went over and was like, talked to one of the male staffs and pointed over at us, and bro, in literally 1/10 of 1 second, I was like, if that guy comes over here to fucking like save the day for her, I'm going to put my fucking steak knife in his neck. Like, instant fucking just,
It was pretty quick.
Yeah, and I got up. I said, I got to get the fuck out of here, because I knew it. I was like, if he comes over here, it's
going to jail.
That's it, bro.
Or dying.
But I'm not going to jail.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like, that could be the catalyst to ruin my whole fucking life. I got to get the fuck out of here. But the right answer is to be able to sit right there, feel that fucking rage, and just look at her and smile. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. Fuck, man.
It takes practice, man.
Yeah.
It takes practice. And yeah, it's it doesn't happen overnight. And this is the other thing. It's like the moment we decide, you know, I don't want to, it's not fair on the people that I love to project this stuff onto them. The moment that we decide that I need to take ownership of this and really look at myself and really look, where is this anger coming from?
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, it's never the incident that makes you angry, but that is all, triggers are just there to show you the suppressed emotions that you have ignored and now need to release because, and you got to say thank you for the triggers because these triggers are showing you emotions that are proven to cause dis-ease at the cellular level in your body. So you have to say thank you because if you didn't get to see that, maybe you're getting in your 50s and your 60s and you're developing illnesses, and now's a good time to really look at how do I remove this imbalance? How do I remove this dis-ease at the cellular level? How do I bring about a feeling of being calm and peaceful and safe?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's about being healthy and being happy. You can't be happy and healthy if you're feeling angry all the time. It's just...
Fuck, man. Those two things are not congruent. You're making me realize something.
Go on.
Here on the air, as we're on the air.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, don't project your anger on others.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm thinking like, well, I don't project anger on my wife or my children or, you know what I mean? Like I treat them very fucking good and I cherish them. And then I just realized right now, bro, standing up in a restaurant and saying, if that guy comes over here, I'll fucking kill him. I got to get the fuck out of here. That's projecting anger on my wife. She was sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
Regardless of my anger might not have been directed at her, but it was certainly projected on her because she felt that. You know what I'm saying? It's fucked up, dude.
I feel like I want to give you a hug.
No, I don't. It's all good. Like that's one thing I try and be. It's just fucking like
real.
And you know, that even started like long before meditation or plant medicine or anything. It started with counseling. I realized very early on when I started counseling after the wars that it's like, oh, if you just sit there and tell them how you really feel and be truthful, all this shit works out a lot better for you.
Yeah.
You know? So like, I used to have that misconception that like, men are tough and they don't show emotion and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And that's like the more that I move away from that, and don't get me wrong, like I don't believe in crying in a fight. Like I tell my kids that all the time. If you cry in a fight, you're going to lose that fight. There's a time and a place to be vulnerable, and it's not when someone's trying to strangle you. That's the time to fucking show the warrior side of you.
Yeah.
And then we can be vulnerable later. Or another thing is people that want to like get on Instagram live and be vulnerable to the world. It's more about like virtue signaling. I think you should be vulnerable with people that you feel safe with.
Yeah.
And that should be established before it's just fucking, bleh, you know?
Greg, it's an interesting subject because like I feel, even though we don't really know each other on a real deep level, but what we do, I really feel, I feel you. I feel that you're a man that deeply cares about society, about his community, about family. And when you feel strongly about certain situations that's going on in society, certain agendas, whatever that might be, it's going to make you angry. There's a lot of people that have the same belief systems are feeling the anger in the world right now, right?
Yeah.
But I think the important thing to remember here, which is very, the moment you project your anger out into the universe, to a person, to a thing, whatever it is, what you're doing is you're firing an arrow into your own heart.
Even if you cuss somebody out on the roadway when I'm in the car alone.
100%. What you're doing is you're basically you're shooting an arrow into your own heart because the moment you project that out, it's just you're feeling, the other person in the car doesn't even know what's going on, but you're the one that's feeling the pain.
Yep.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
Bro,
it gives power to
bro.
the anger.
Yeah.
Well, and like you want to take it another layer. Tyler talks about this often, who I hope you meet Tyler this weekend. he believes that they're projecting all of this stuff on us to cause anger purposefully to keep us in a diminished state. So if you can combat that anger with love and power and happiness, it's actually the best way to stand up against our adversaries.
Right. So you've hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. Tyler is spot on. He's bang on the money. It's what I believe also. I mean, you know, I try and stay away from
the crazy tinfoil hat stuff.
That's why I ran away to the jungle, to get away from that stuff, man.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, I've got my own opinions and beliefs, but in regards to...
Remember, right in front.
Yeah, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out that, you know, right now in the world we have, you know, there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of guilt and there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of division. And this is the frequencies that lower the vibration of the planet. It's as simple as that. Love is the highest vibration, man. And it's like, you know, it doesn't matter what you've got going on inside of you in regards to your darkness. If you see your power, your heart, as a golden light, and bring all of that darkness, the anger, the rage, the guilt, whatever it is, towards the heart, the light will just overcome all of that in that very moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fascinating.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
And it doesn't, who was telling me that analogy of very similar to what you just said. And they said, and listen, it actually doesn't take that much light to get rid of the darkness. You could be in my gym, which is 3,000 square feet, and light a match. And you're going to be able to see almost everything.
Absolutely.
You know, which is pretty fucking fascinating, dude.
Yeah. And, you know, Greg, the thing is that, you know, we're talking a lot about anger here, but ultimately, every being on the planet at the purest level of existence is just love. If you was to draw a line on the wall and look back at your ancestral tree, let's call it, your lineage, show me one time in history where one of your ancestral relations that's actually deep within your spirit was ever reproduced or created through fear or guilt or shame. It's always only through love. That's all you are, man. You just love, bro. So
Johnny, let's try and do a little accountability challenge.
Let's do it.
Because I like these. And I've tried this before. I've tried this before since I've had the podcast. So people have heard me say this before. And I didn't succeed, but I dramatically diminished how often I was like, fuck you, you know? Is like, no matter how someone treats me, I'm going to try and not get angry for a month.
1 month?
Get cut off in traffic. Fuck yeah, have a nice day. You know what I mean? And it's hard, bro. And it's because you notice yourself. You start catching yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't realize, at least I didn't realize, how often you just randomly tell people to fuck off.
Yeah, but it's not you. It's your conscious awareness being you, dude. It should change my life, dude. That's going to change my life. So, David, go into that a little, please. Because David tried in Costa Rica to relay this to me, and I just wasn't ready to receive the message. I thought at that point in time I would have, but we had this conversation last night about, like we were just jokingly saying, but it's real, and I feel like I'm now at a point in my healing, my growth, my journey, whatever, to be able to understand that message on a much deeper level than you just telling me something and being like, oh, that's fucking crazy. But now it's like, I told you, I stayed up for like 2 hours in the pitch last night when we were trying to go to bed, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, like that can save you from everything.
Yeah.
If you have that sort of awareness, you can stop all action.
Absolutely.
You don't have to get angry at a fucking waitress because it's like,
It's
whatever.
And you know what? I think
it's whatever.
I think there's an ebb and a flow to it, right? So one thing that it talked about in emotional intelligence that was fascinating to me, it said stimuli happens that triggers you, right? So like a guy cuts you off at a four-way intersection. It's your turn, and then he just shoots out in front of you. Maybe he flips you off, because that happened to me, right? With my kids in my car, like not too long ago. And yeah, and it's just like, And then I caught myself and I said, you got your kids in your car, dummy. A physical altercation with another man with 2 babies in the back makes no sense.
Yeah.
Just go. Keep driving your kids to school.
Yeah. At that point, you're not a
Boom. That's a win.
yes.
Right? And I was actually proud of myself for that win.
You should, dude.
But so this book that I read, it says there's a part of the brain that observes the fucking incident that triggers you, and it feels that fucking, right, that rage. That's the first, goes through your eyes, you get the emotional response first. Between an emotional response portion of the brain and the logical thought process, decision-making part of the brain, think of it as a 2-lane highway, right? A lot of times that 2-lane, and they said this isn't an analogy, there's literal neural pathways that the signal has to travel down. It's a roadway, right? Instead, if you are someone that hasn't ever like put the work in to try and make the correct decisions, that 2-way roadway is literally like clogged with traffic 24/7. So you get mad and then you can't get to the decision-making side of your brain because it's a fucking clogged highway and you're stuck right here, right? But every time you get mad and then you choose the right outcome, it grows a new neural pathway. And it said you can make the road between the emotional brain and the decision brain by continuously working to make the right decisions. You can make that a 10-lane each direction superhighway to where eventually stimuli comes in and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Well, that's the neuroplasticity, and that's like the really cool part, at least for me. That's like one main reason I dove into plant medicine. It's where I wear mushrooms and shit. That's what it does. It helps recreate those neural pathways that you create over time. So my whole life, I grew up under anger conditions. Everything triggered that anger highway. There was no branch off. It was fucking angry or super, super like ecstatically happy. That was the only 2 emotions I had.
Peaks and valleys.
That's it. No in between. And then starting to work with this stuff, it, like you said, it unclogs that at like a rapid rate. So you can do it over time through meditation, through practice, making those right choices. But that for me was one of the biggest takeaways from plant medicine is, oh, I can clear that traffic and it's still just a small little, maybe 1 or 2-lane road. But now through vulnerability, post that, and through David's integration type of work and meetings on FaceTime and stuff with everyone, that's what creates that neuroplasticity and those new highways. So it's that practicing, making the good decisions post ceremony is what is creating that brain pathway. So now when I get angry, don't get me wrong, I still get fucking furious, right? But majority of the time it's like, you're fucking dipshit, dude.
Yeah.
Again, that's the end of it. Before it was like, I'll pull my fucking gun out in traffic, dude. I was losing it.
So
it was not good.
Here's the thing on that, which is really important to make the listeners aware of. So let's go through that. So you're in the car, someone cuts you up, you get angry, you scream abuse. First of all, you're just screaming it at yourself.
Putting an arrow in my own heart.
Putting an arrow in
just
your
like
own
you
heart.
said, bro.
Just like I said. But then when you notice it and you go, I shouldn't have done that. What am I like? I'm so stupid, or whatever, like Johnny just said. Again, you're not aware in any of that moment, right? The moment you become aware of being angry and you notice that you was angry, you are consciousness noticing the situation, right? So who is actually getting angry? If you notice yourself getting angry, who's the angry? Where's the anger coming from, first and foremost? And then the other thing is once you say you've had time to calm down and realize that, then it's the internal of beating yourself up. Why did you do that? You're no good, and blah blah blah. And then who is that? Because it's not you saying that to yourself. That's your brain or your mind, the chatter. Because again, you can't be the chatter, and you can't be the person that's conscious of that. So none of it's real. It's all an illusion. And it's because the egoic mind wants to keep you there, because that's what the ego does. It creates suffering.
So
humans.
I'm struggling a little bit.
Okay.
Are you saying like it's kind of like the monkey mind that feels these emotions?
Absolutely.
And then we let it pull down our whole being when really we should be able to separate those two?
Well,
No, you're the being watching the monkey mind.
so here's the thing. In that situation, why do you get angry? Because someone cuts you up. Or what makes you angry? Because what he did...
It's disrespecting me.
Right. So that's from the ego. That's your...
That is ego. Yeah.
This is what I'm sharing. So it's like, if you're not in your mind and you're in your heart when that happens, you may say, oh man, that guy cut me up right there. Maybe he needs to get home because his wife's about to give birth. And so it's always seeing it from it's how you perceive that. But when you're in the mind, it's like, that guy disrespected me. It's nothing to do with you. But that's how you perceive it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the story you choose to give the anger is what makes it anger.
Yeah. And then it makes you want to kill that human being
over something that you created because of an action.
When really, I mean, that's a good point. And I've been on the other side of that.
Sure.
My kid cut herself pretty bad, and we were driving to the hospital, and she was like, psst, psst, like fucking bleeding. Mm-hmm. And some other drivers got pissed off at how fucking crazy I was driving. Like, they have no fucking idea. So maybe that is the story you tell yourself. The next time someone does something that's fucking erratic or pisses you off, hey, maybe he's trying to get home to a kid that's bleeding. What's the chances of that? Maybe it's 0.001%. But if that's a story that I tell myself, then I don't have to fucking feel like beheading that person.
No, but here's the interesting thing, Greg. When you're in your mind, when you're not mindful and you're not present, you don't get a chance to hear that story. Because what you're doing is you're being triggered for something that's nothing to do with that situation, that's triggering an anger that's deep inside of you that then gets projected out. So there's no chance to have a story or not have a story. But when you're mindful and you're breathing into the moment, then when you get triggered, because you may still get triggered, you probably will, it's not giving energy to the anger and allowing it to pass like a cloud and to seeing it go. That's much more spiritual.
So I'm again, dude, this is a good show because I'm coming up with I'm feeling things in real time, right?
Yeah.
Because you can feel disrespect, right?
Based on your ego, based on your set of principles.
Your set of principles, right?
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, there's a time to smash someone's face over disrespect. Like if I was walking in the grocery store and some guy looked at my wife and goes, "You fucked that?" Or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay. Can of Campbell's soup right to the teeth. Yeah. It's going to be tomato because that's nostalgic for me. But I think here's what you're getting at. Don't allow that. Hey, he disrespected me to a point where now there needs to be a consequence. Be able to apply that consequence without the emotion of anger.
Okay.
Hey, it's no hard feelings. I just got to smash your teeth out.
So you say he disrespected me, right?
Let's say he said something egregious to your woman.
But no, just to go back, he disrespected me. Like, so who are you? Who are you?
Fuck, I don't know what answer we're looking for. I'm just,
too many answers.
Yeah.
Your name's Greg Anderson, but that's not who you are. Mm-hmm. You're the jiu-jitsu king here in Seattle.
Hell yeah.
I hope no.
But that's not who you are, is it? It's like who you are is just consciousness. Mm-hmm. That's it. So you can't disrespect your consciousness.
So you are the lineage of all of these past lives, right? Coming into this one spirit, this soul, this consciousness. Yes?
I believe that we're a culmination of every single element of our ancestral blood lineage throughout human history. And we are the final production. And I choose to believe that I can tap into that power, or I can, like a lot of people I meet in Costa Rica say, I'm going to heal that lineage. I'm going to heal my past life traumas. And to be honest, my opinion of that is, why would you try and heal something that's happened in the past? Why not be present?
Be reborn, like you say.
Be reborn. So,
sorry.
Go.
I tried to address that in a mushroom ceremony by myself one time, opened up the gates to all of my lineage.
Yeah.
And it was fucking insane. It was terrifying. I have a 15-minute video on my phone because I had to set it up. I was panicking. I was like, dude, I'm in uncharted territories right now.
Yeah.
I was sitting over a toilet bowl, tears pouring out of my face, not crying, pouring out of my face, saliva running through my mouth. The mushroom I took was called the Gatekeeper. And right after, I got to finally calm down and like relax and do breath work and meditate and try and fucking woo-saw myself out of psychosis. Was like, I shouldn't have done that. I didn't need to know all of that. Like, because it's
it
just
peeled
who
the curtain
I am
back
now.
too far, huh?
It was terrifying.
So right now, after the fact, after going through that, you would have chosen not to do that? It was too much?
I think so.
Dang.
I think it was, dude, it was, you're bearing the burden of who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Burdens
it's
that
the
may not be
ultimate of
yours to
unknown.
bear, huh?
Well, and it's shit that could be so far-fetched, right? Like if you were a Viking in the past or something, like going around raping and pillaging villages, and you address that nowadays in your head, it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like that's
raping was cool back then, man.
yeah. You're like, what the fuck is going on right now, dude? It was terrifying. I'm like, okay, well, it's addressed. I think it helped me. I think I allowed all that emotion to flow out and pour through. So I think there was a lot of benefit to it, but I should have had a guide there for that one. Lesson of the story, I suppose.
I think one of the most important exercises I've ever done and learned is when you sit in meditation and really just call on your spirit and your ancestral spirit to come forth and really tap into that, and just take 5 or 10 minutes just to use your imagination to go back through time and just imagine what it would have been like for one of your ancestors to be living during war times or famine, and understanding how much spirit that these people must have had to be able to survive that. Because in my model of the world, if they wouldn't have been able to survive for whatever reason, I wouldn't be here today.
Isn't that a trip to think about?
So with that being said, your ancestors would have had to kill or be killed, and then you wonder why you get anger, right? So, but the point of that exercise is to really just tap in, place your hand on your heart, and take a moment to have gratitude for what they went through, for you to be here today, so that you're not caught up in your own mind, living your life, but just to say thank you. And that to me is ultimate gratitude.
Yeah, bro. That's interesting.
Right.
Because, dude, if you could fucking make a movie of everything that had to take place for you to be here,
man.
all the wars and fucking just everything, dude. Like, it gets to the point where, like, I think about this stuff and I'm like, it's almost statistically impossible that I'm here, right? So that makes me think maybe this is all just one big fucking simulation. We're in the Matrix, But then I think, well, someone has to be here, so why not you? And it's like, fuck, who knows, man? David, do you believe that? I know I hear a lot of people say that they believe we're in individual bodies, but the human consciousness is all one.
Oh yeah. I mean,
what do people? Is that something you're comfortable talking about, or?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, again, just to make clear to the listeners, I mean, I'm definitely no expert on all of this stuff. I'm really, through plant medicines, really just starting to get some sort of understanding of what it all is, And I think I was listening to one of my teachers talk after a ceremony, and he was like, I've been serving and drinking medicine for 25 years now. And what I've learned through all of this, through this plant medicine, is that we know absolutely nothing about what actually is. And it's just blew my mind. I was like, well, what do I know? Who am I? Like, what is this all about? So I think that what's exciting is that we're living in an age we're moving into the age of consciousness, and people are starting to wake up. People have had enough. Mm-hmm. People are realizing that what we've been told is not actually true, and that we are actually these conscious beings that have this infinite potential. Why haven't we been told that? So people are starting to question this, and it's a very interesting subject for me, the consciousness and conscious field, and what does that mean, and who are we, and what's conscious and what's not. And me and my beliefs and my teachers, I'm of the belief that we are just conscious beings, and everything is consciousness. Everything has a living energy, plants, the trees, the elements. But the conscious field is not just within us, it's all around us. So I don't think there's, I'm a conscious field and there's consciousness around me. I do wholeheartedly believe that there's no separation. And honestly, Greg, I wanted to talk a little bit more about this, but I feel that we're living in a time where the greatest illusion of modern society is the illusion of separation.
Mm-hmm.
With your gym, the power is in connectivity and community and relationships, and it's the same. I honestly feel that we're all just we're all interconnected in the web of life. And again, these teachings go back 100,000 years. Look at all the great shamanic teachers, shamanic spirituality. It's nothing to do with religion, but it's all about this connectivity, the connected web of life. Communicating with trees and plants and whatever it is, like that. When we understand this field of energy, like the way that Greg Braden describes it in the Divine Matrix, people will start to learn that this information has been hidden, and that you have absolutely got the ability to have and live the absolute ideal version of yourself in your ideal life. As long as you understand that it is just consciousness, and we can create our reality through changing the conscious field around us. And what's described in the Divine Matrix is that when you have gratitude, and gratitude is the key for all of this. I know we keep coming back to gratitude. That when you have gratitude in your heart for something that you have now, or family, or even something that you are stepping into in the future, when you can bring that into the now and act as if you already have it by feeling gratitude, which is the ultimate form of receivership, then the conscious field around you changes to make that your reality. The only thing that's stopping it from actually having it in physical form is just time, which doesn't actually exist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite a lot to unpack, but consciousness is, for me, something that is it's just one. There's not like I'm consciousness, you're consciousness, and that's different. There's one conscious field of energy, and I know this. I mean, I do a lot of this healing and online work for people, and I've actually had multiple clients and sessions that have asked me to do quantum healing in the quantum field, connecting through the conscious field of energy. And that's real. When you can actually connect to someone else's consciousness through the quantum field when they're thousands of miles away, this stuff is real. It's not, oh my God, that's magic. That this is just the reality that we live in that we haven't been told.
Yeah.
That's what it is, man.
Well, I always use like the Wi-Fi analogy,
Mm-hmm.
because to think in the internet, like I can get online right now, and if one of my buddies is deployed to fucking Afghanistan,
mm-hmm.
we can get on Yahoo Messenger and we can talk back and forth.
Yeah.
Instantly. And then I think about this stuff, or Wi-Fi, where like my phone will pull a signal out of a little box over in the corner of the room. That box talks to another little box out on the road. And it's like, to think that human beings could create something that nature couldn't, well, we're kind of full of shit.
You're spot on.
So nature's already created all this stuff. And we can, like, you can call it consciousness or the evolution of like a biological Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. But I've had these experiences, and I'm sure you guys have too, where I've communicated with people not like telepathically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like your friend has like, I've told you with Angie, right?
Absolutely.
One thing that let me know that she's magical is there's a handful of times when like I'm up in the middle of the night and like something bad is happening, she'll call me. Be like, I just woke up and knew that there's a problem with you. What's going on?
Yeah.
Bro?
But it's called subjective communication, right?
So what's happening there? You know?
Well, what's happening there is we are scientifically proven just to be walking antennas,
There you go.
right?
Uh-huh.
So we're sending frequencies in the field and we're sending messages. There's a really great teaching on all of this stuff in the Silva method by Jose Silva, and it's a program, and it was recorded in the 60s.
Oh, I have that.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's a really...
What's it called again?
It's called the Silva method.
Okay. Yep.
It's really, really powerful, and a lot of it is about how we can change our field just by doing, like, using our imagination and pointing our eyes in a certain direction and going from beta to alpha, and how in alpha we're able to subjectively communicate with people through the quantum field. Okay, this was in the 60s, but again, this goes back thousands of years. It's written, it's in knowledge that's been hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg Braden unpacks that so well. And he's got lots of science behind it with the Heart Maths Institute. And so, yeah, it's a real thing. And everyone experiences it. Everybody has the same ability. It's not like, oh my God, this guy is so telepathic. And we've all got this, we all have the ability. And it's just like a muscle. The way that when you go to the gym, and if you want to be black belt at jiu-jitsu, you got to put 10 years on the mat and training, and it's the same with these tools. You know, we've all got the same, we all have an ability, maybe not the same ability, we all have the access to these tools and skills. But it just takes application of training and understanding. It's just the more we put in, the more we get back in regards to, working with these tools.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about application, understanding and putting it into practice.
No, it's, I don't know if you heard, or you weren't here yet. You were. We had kids class going on the other day, and we're teaching Barambolos. And one of the kid runs up to me and he goes, "Hey, professor, I just realize the more I do this, the better I get at it." Right? I was like,
Oh yeah.
I look at him and I go, "That's called life."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it's exactly what you were just saying. Like,
This is the thing, there's no shortcuts. And I also wanted to say, you know, a lot of my friends, they'll reach out to me and go, "Dave, you know, I want to learn to meditate, and how do you do it?" And, you know, I come from a city, there's a lot of people with fast-paced lives and business owners, and people are stressed out, man. People have just had enough, you know, people are looking for tools and techniques. And I say to them, you know, there's no secrets in regards to, you got to really invest your time into training, because what we're doing is we're training our minds, we're training ourselves to be mindful, because we're not made like that. We're made to have this egoic mind to cause us to suffer, but we have the ability and the tools not to suffer. And it's a case of that, you know, do we want to be held by the mind in a world of suffering with anger and being like, oh, we've got no control? Or do we want to use our imagination to drop into our hearts, to be present through our breath, being mindful and understanding that it's okay, we can still feel all these emotions, but we can be the observer of that, as opposed to giving it energy and escalating it into nothing.
I'm telling you, that's my goal this month, to be an observer of my emotions. There's
Okay, man.
There's the next good nugget
There you
on
go.
the show. An observer of your emotions.
And you're allowed to be.
Yeah.
There's no rules. You're allowed to be the observer. You're allowed to notice it. And even, I would say, just start with 7 days, man.
Okay.
You don't have to do a month, mate. We don't have to, you know, I don't like you're an extreme
fucking
sportsman.
year.
From this moment forward, I'm never going to feel anger again.
But, you know,
Until they mandate more lockdowns. And then I go full William Wallace.
Ballistic.
and, you know, on that not being so hard on yourself thing, I think that it's, you know, humans tend to be very hard on themselves. And we do, you know. We tend to be our own worst enemies. And when you say be your own worst enemy, who is the enemy? The enemy is the mind, which is just an illusion. It doesn't exist. It's just crazy. You know? We create this suffering for ourselves when we don't need to.
Why do you think people are drawn to causing suffering for themselves? Do you think it's, or did you ask that question,
No.
Johnny?
Yeah, last night we talked
Okay,
about
because I
me,
saw you
him,
get a
and-
big smile
me,
on your
him and
face
Daniel for like
as soon as
an
I
hour.
said that, because I know perhaps there's something inherent about wanting to be in a shitty place. Like there's been times like after I overcame like these bouts of depression that I was like, man, I kind of miss feeling like shit,
It's addictive.
which is weird.
Yeah.
Why the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a part of it that sometimes I miss it. So there's a part of us that is almost self-sabotages to put ourselves there. But then there's the other aspect of society that seems to be purposefully keeping you there. And I don't know if that's just the less we shine as individuals, the easier we are to control, you know? Or some people, like Tyler talks about, like, these fuckers feed off of the negative
Absolutely.
energy that we project when we're angry.
Absolutely. And, you know, to unpack what you just said there, going back to the first part, I mean, it's like the way that we're wired is to suffer. You know, the ego is there. You know, okay, look, let's say a couple of things. Everyone in the world has an ego, right? If we didn't have an ego, we wouldn't be getting dressed and putting on our jewelry or whatever that is, you know. So like, but it's living from the egoic mind. And, you know, like you said, when you feel good, you think, oh, I miss feeling bad or whatever it is. That is just, it's so crazy. But there's, you know, when you suffer, when you have to protect yourself, or when you're coping, let's use the word coping, which much of society are, they're using coping mechanisms. And people get stuck in these versions of themselves, and there's chemicals that get released into the brain that you do become addicted to. You know, and I've had clients that I've worked with that I've really helped, and they say, look, this happened to me when I was young. I don't want to feel it anymore. Can you help it? Like, and we do these techniques, and then, you know, a few days later, they're like, is it normal to say that I don't really know who I am? Because people are so identified with this version of themselves.
Wow.
That I know. And that's when the chemicals are released. And so it's being aware of that.
Well, something I talk about on the show often is I feel like a lot of people allow their trauma to define them.
Absolutely.
To the point where it's like, I'm a cancer survivor. Or I'm
It's a label.
I'm a sexual assault survivor. Or especially in my community, I'm a combat veteran with PTSD. Okay. And
so with that being said, let me put this question out to the listeners. What if one day you could just wake up, and just what if in one day you could wake up, and just by using your imagination and your breath, you was literally able to remove all unwanted emotions, all limiting beliefs, all self-doubts, all the versions of yourself that you have
perpetuated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. All your blockages, all these emotions that don't serve you. What if you could just take a breath, put it all into that one breath, and just let it go and be reborn in that very moment? How would you choose to show up?
Yeah. And you know everybody will give you the same answer.
No.
Oh, really?
Well, because we're all individuals, right?
Yeah, but I figured like if you were to ask that to 99% of people, like if I could drop everything that's tearing me down and show up with a fresh slate, I'd want to move forward with peace and love and power. And
of course,
I don't think anyone would be like, well, if I could wake up and get rid of my PTSD, I might just hold on to it anyways.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, I feel most people would say, it's not possible.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it all comes down, it's a belief. It's the belief system. The belief system of the mind, of our ability, is everything. What we believe is what it is, you know.
And see, that's why I think it's dangerous. I think I say it all the time on the show, attaching that survivor title to you just ensures that you stay there.
Well, I mean, that's another subject which we can talk about in a moment, like survival and creation, because that's a big part of it, right? And it's okay to be a survivor because we've all had to be one to get through it. But then there comes a time when you say, do I want to stay in this frequency of survival, or do I want to step into my authentic self, which is a pure being of creativity and love?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So,
dude, because when you're, when you're stuck in that fucking mindset of just survival,
Yeah.
you're never gonna grow into the strongest version of yourself.
Absolutely. So going back to the first part of what we initially said was, so if you could and you could show up, why don't you? Why do people not do that? Why do people not do that? This is
Probably because they either don't know
yeah,
it's possible, or if they've heard stuff like this, don't believe that it's real.
yeah.
You know?
Again, it just comes down to the belief system. If you speak to any spiritual teacher, or you know, especially with the shamanic spirituality, one of the biggest teachings for me, and the most simple, is to learn about dismembering and remembering. You know, dismembering is, you know, being prepared to kill every single version of yourself that you've created. All these, you know, self-pity and limiting beliefs, and keeping yourself small, and being able to remember back to this whole brand new version of yourself with each breath that you take. So with each breath you take, you can be reborn every 6 or 7 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That pranayama breathing helped me with that a lot.
It's just deciding, because here's the thing, based just to finish on that. If I decide that I want to do that, and I know that if I bring my attention to my heart for 1 minute, and I see my family and people I love, and people that make me feel good and safe, and people that make me feel that gratitude and joy, I know if I do that for 1 minute, there is no monkey mind, and I feel love. So then why don't I do that for 24 hours a day? Why do I choose not to be there if that's where my safe, happy place? Because the mind pulls you back to suffer.
Yeah.
So the training is coming back to the heart. And the more we do it and the more we practice, the more we live in the moment.
And from experience, from going to Costa Rica, coming back here, and then just a couple hours with you upstairs, here's my jiu-jitsu analogy for the episode. It's a perishable skill, you know? Because I've noticed, man, I felt better since you got here, bro.
Oh, thanks, man.
You know?
Yeah, well, first, let me just say, I really want to say thank you for your great hospitality. And it's just, it means a lot to me for you to say, I see you, you're one of us, you're part of our community, come and meet the team, and open up your space, and give me somewhere to stay, and keys to your car and all that stuff, man. It's really, I'm very, very grateful and deeply honored for that. So thank you.
Bro, I tell people all the time, once you're part of my tribe, what's mine is yours.
Yeah.
You know, except my women.
Yeah. I've got a good woman, man.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
I have a question that I'm just fixating on it, so I'm fucking stuck here. And we don't have to go down the tangent if you don't want, but I'm interested what your thoughts on religion are, because if your belief, you have to have this belief system, right, in order to make this stuff happen.
Yeah.
I feel like religion is ultimately putting the belief into something besides yourself. So it kind of keeps you stuck in the you're not addressing you for you, if that makes sense.
Do you want me to be straight to the point?
Yeah, I'm fixated on it. I'm stuck here. I'm confused. Sure. Because that takes your personal belief and puts it to something else.
Right. So it's a really, really good question. And here's where it gets interesting, right? And you'll get to understand this when you watch The Divine Matrix. It's going to blow your mind.
I'm going to start it tonight, probably.
Oh, man.
But you said it's 4 hours.
Yeah, but it's a game changer.
I got a 30-hour car ride. I'll just stream it.
This is what's interesting, because the religious books, let's just say, you know, all this stuff I'm telling you about, this isn't my idea, by the way. Let's make that clear. This goes back thousands and thousands of years, which is proven, it's written, it's scripted, okay? And a lot of the shamanic teachers, a lot of, you know, the great shamanic teachers, and including myself, feel personally religion that's been around for X amount of thousands of years was something that was created to take this information away, and to take the power away from the people, because that's just the way it is. Now, that's just my own belief. It doesn't mean to say that that's what's happened, but this is the belief that's coming from a lot of my teachers. And like
That's what
you
it
said,
feels like.
okay, so here we are now again moving into the age of consciousness, when all this information is now coming to. It's only over the last 100 years that people are starting to actually learn about this ancient technology of the heart, and ancient technology of how we create this ultimate reality. Yeah. So I don't like to get into deep discussions on religion.
And I don't either.
I have nothing against religion.
No.
at
Yeah,
all,
That's what I'm saying. We don't have to dive down it, but
No.
I'm interested.
Well, no, I
on
think
that
it's
real
important to
quick.
say this though, because like these kind of topics come up all the time, and some of the literal closest people in my life are absolutely devout Christians, you know? And I honestly think one day we're going to find out, like, and it won't be in our lifetime, but it's like, man, all of these different religions,
It's the same thing.
it's the same thing, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of the same thing. And so to think like, oh, like Jesus said this or Muhammad said that, it's like, you know what, dude? Like what I believe, and I know I'm the fucking crazy one. I've talked to Jesus super high out in my sauna. I think these people that lived throughout history that could just tap in a little better than the rest of us, right? Because, dude, same message that I got in the jungle from Mother Aya is the same message that fucking I got with this conversation with Jesus. And it's like, dude, we're all the same.
We're all the same.
I am
I'm
you.
my own God.
I am you and you are me. I'm a God, you're a God. And it makes me wonder, did these people that just lived extraordinary lives that the rest of society couldn't just say, man, they figured something out that we can't, must be a God, you know? And it's like, well, you're right. They are a God.
But so are you.
But just because he was able to tap into things and do divine things, it doesn't mean he's any better or different than you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need to worship that.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Worship yourself. You can become your own God. Like everything that you pull from religion, that's why I kept just circling in my head is like everything that you pull from religion is a belief in something else. But so if you can change that belief to just be on yourself and realize that like the message of Jesus, the message of God, of all of these different,
All good stuff.
yeah, it's great, but it's just you.
Exactly.
It's a description of you. And so by it being contextualized under Jesus or God or Buddha or Allah, all of these things, you're getting the message, you're getting the right message, but the belief becomes on that. When you can
then
realize that
inherently
you're
makes,
God,
which
it
inherently
becomes
makes you small,
Yes.
right?
But so if you can flip that and realize like, I can still practice all of this. You can still go to church. It's still good message. But just realize that like God is, just flip the script. God is you.
Bro.
But so then you believe in yourself. And then once you believe in yourself, you can amplify your frequency and your energies.
And then you're going to amplify the frequencies and energies of those around you.
Yes. Build
You
a
know?
community.
And like you see it, like my community on the mats, those people's frequencies are amplified.
Electric.
Your people's frequencies that we like, you've been here for what, 2 nights? How many people have already felt your energy? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I had some good conversations with the group last night, and a big shout out to them all. I respect you all. I respect what you're doing. I'm going to be very open and honest. I know nothing really about jiu-jitsu at all. But coming in here and really seeing what you're doing and the guys, and you're producing people that can have the skills in life to go on and achieve great things and
Yeah.
success. That's really apparent last night. Had some great conversations.
but the cool thing about it, and this goes right into the fucking religious thing, I ain't producing shit.
Mm-hmm.
I provided a space for people to come here and produce themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, people always tell me, they're like, bro, you could be a fucking cult leader, you know? And I was like, I could never be a cult leader because the people that are like underneath me, if I ever started to disrespect them or treat them less than or not give them the positive energy they deserve, they'd call me out on it and they'd have a problem with it. There's nothing about this place that anyone would ever feel like controlling, you know? Because cult leaders inevitably end up fucking everybody's girls. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to teach you how to be a guru. You're going to move onto my compound, and then I get to fuck your woman.
And you don't.
I don't fuck my students' women.
Yeah.
And if I tried, they'd want to fight me. So, and that's probably a good thing.
For sure. You got the right community then, man.
David,
You are brutal, man. Honestly,
well, bro,
like,
have you?
come on, man. I'm guruing in here. I'm kind of giving a guru energy, and just lowering the tone. Come
Dude,
on,
it's
man.
not lowering it. That's just
go, bro.
Hey, watch Wild Wild Country. Did you see that one?
I don't think so.
Okay,
That's the cult leader
cult
one?
leader shit.
Okay.
You're fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
But
you know what I mean? When I say the word producing, it's more like
I know.
providing the facilities.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
I want to, and I don't know if it's a good time to segue or not, but I want to really. The most fascinating thing you've taught me is the Shruti box and the humming.
Oh yeah.
And we did it again, and you did some other exercises upstairs. And remember, like I said yesterday, I said, like, dude, there's something about the Shruti box and the humming, the magic suitcase.
Yeah. And that's your medicine, man.
Bro, you can't spend 10 minutes doing that and not feel better.
Yeah.
And bro, I was sick as fuck yesterday. I did that, and it did help clear out my sinuses.
Yeah.
Went down to the river.
Went down to the river. I popped an ivermectin too, so I'm sure. but bro, for how I felt yesterday, how I feel today,
Yeah.
I think I'd be foolish to say that session didn't play a part in that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, vibration is a technology, again, that's really unrecognized by the masses, not by the people that know, obviously. It's like everything else. But we're really starting to understand more about the mystery of vibration and frequency and waveform and how energy travels in this frequency. And, I love working with the Shruti. It's a really, really powerful way of opening your voice and to allow whatever's needed, whatever energy needs to be released to come out. But also, for me personally, the way that I like to work with the Shruti is just to allow myself to be an open vessel for spirit and the conscious field to come through me. And then I can express that in the way of sound, which is then again a vibration. So along with...
do you think the Shruti over the microphone would be cool to do for a minute? You down with that, or do you not want to do that?
Nah,
Okay.
I won't do that. But we'll hit the bowl in a minute. And
Okay.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a frequency for the listeners
Okay.
that's going to go out into the field. Not create a frequency, I'm going to allow a frequency. And what I was about to say was, when you open your voice and you've got this sound and vibration, when you're working with something like the Shruti, when you what's the word I'm looking for here? When you verbalize a prayer, when you understand the power of words and the vibration, and you give that with the Shruti as an intention, and you ask for this vibration to take this intentional prayer and carry that through the quantum field, through the conscious field as a vibration, then it's felt. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. If yesterday, for example, we would have started the session and I didn't set an intention, which is the first thing that we did.
Mm-hmm.
If I just play the Shruti and the vibration goes out, where is it going to go? The conscious field doesn't know. So we have to be clear. We have to work. You're not just working with the sound of the Shruti, the vibration. What you're feeling is my intention, but coming through, and the Shruti is allowing the vibration for that to travel to you and out into the cosmos, and that will go out into the web of life, to wherever that needs to go. So, yeah, the Shruti is amazing. Humming is amazing, and when you combine intention with vibration, that just equals healing right there.
So that's one of the reasons why the humming feels so powerful.
Oh yeah.
Well, let me ask you this too, because you can feel the frequency in which you hum, once it matches the frequency of the shruti, it like sucks.
Yeah.
It like becomes one. And you even said something about like the highest frequency.
Entrainment.
They rise to it, and then that's where they
Absolutely
connect, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Absolutely. So that's entrainment, right?
Okay.
Any vibration will raise itself to the highest frequency as entrainment in sound. And on the humming side of things, I mean, humming is like something that I've recently discovered over the last 4 or 5 years. It's just such a powerful tool that every single human has within them to use to heal. It's scientifically proven. There's studies about humming. There's so much wisdom and knowledge on this. When you're humming, in regards to like you said about feeling congested, you're using your nose, the area of the face to hum. It comes through this amazing instrument that we don't know about. Is we just see this thing poking out the face, but 2/3 of the nose are actually inside of the head that you can't even see. So there's this technology that we don't use. And then so what happens is with humming is there's a really interesting award-winning molecule called nitric oxide. Actually, the discovery of nitric oxide to the human physiology or biology actually won a Nobel Prize. So when you understand that, and also understand that when you hum, your body automatically releases 15 times more nitric oxide.
Yeah.
Which again proves to decongest you. There's a documentary on this, and they actually cured asthma within 3 days of people that have had it for like 10 to 20 years.
Do you know that? Do you remember the documentary?
I'll send you the link.
Okay.
I'll send you the link. And they used humming, and they used the Buteyko breath, which is something else I know you know about with the oxygen advantage.
Yep.
So when
Well,
when you hum, just to finish, when you hum and you put intention behind that, you can send that energy. It's a vibration to anywhere it needs to go. And if you've got a good imagination like me, you can really take that energy deep into the individual cell, down to the subatomic particle, to the quantum level of the cell where there's any type of dis-ease, and create harmony within the cell. So humming is a way of healing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, and that's what I said after we were done. I said I could feel the humming literally like going to war with the part of me that was feeling sick or hurt, you know?
Yeah.
And going to war might not be the right analogy, because that would sound like it'd be like painful. I could feel the humming just like extracting the sick.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
You know? And the thing is, it's like, even if you're not like, you're a listener and you haven't bought off on any of this stuff yet because you haven't experienced it, or you have and you just don't believe in it.
Yeah.
The fact that it increases your nitric oxide by 15% and it's a vasodilator, that makes you a better athlete. That makes you better perform at life. Like, that shit's not up for negotiation, you know?
And there's so much more to it. The amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide, and how much the red cells are moving around the body, and this is what your brain needs. This is what your brain needs. This is like brain food to get the right amount of oxygen. So I think this is a good segue.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's hum. Let's do like a co-creation of humming. And so what I'm going to do here, Greg, is I'm just going to hit this bowl, this beautiful Tibetan bowl, which is attuned to the frequency of the heart. So with that being said, and so we have the different chakras within the system. You've got the crown, you've got the throat chakra, the heart chakra, and all these different chakras. This one here is attuned to the heart chakra. So I think it's a good idea to maybe send a loving frequency out to all the listeners right now.
Hell yeah.
And we can all hum.
Let's do
with
it.
that at the same time. So we can close our eyes, and just while we hear the bowl, and it's going to take just over a minute. So just take a moment just to tune into that. As we set the intention of love and harmony, peace and freedom. And the magic is always in the silence.
That thing reverberates forever, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And that will keep on reverberating forever. Just forever. It never stops. That's going out. That will just keep on going out through space and time. From me, out into the cosmos, from this planet that's floating through space, powered by the sun, that's millions of miles away, and we're just floating through space with all the other planets, and that vibration is going to continue. It's timeless.
That's nuts, man. Yeah, if you're listening in your car, rewind that little segment and turn it to full blast, and you'll hear that ring for the whole time, really.
Hey, let's just notice what's changed here. Let's pay attention to the frequency, to the vibration of the podcast, and
yeah,
I'm happy as fuck.
I'm not pissed off. I promise.
I challenge you to get angry right now.
Yeah. No, man. It's a combination of all the stuff. It's your energy. It's the bowl. I thought playing the Shruti was just this easy, but the way that you play it, it feels a little different. And man, like maybe this is also part of integration. You know what? You know why we know it's part of integration? Because what the fuck's he doing here? You didn't know he was going to be here.
Hang on a minute. I thought you said you invited him.
You know,
I just showed up, dog.
You know what I'm saying? No, but like we've been talking back and forth for a while about potentially having you up and making this happen.
Yeah.
You didn't plan the trip around Johnny at all.
No.
You just decided this is the right weekend. You decided you were coming up for an unrelated thing, and boom, we're all here together.
We talked about that last night because I told David, like, after Costa Rica, whatever did transpire out there and stuff, it gave me everything in life that I needed for like 6 weeks roughly. You couldn't make me angry if you tried. There was nothing in this world, traffic, nothing at all was like upsetting to me. I was the best dad I could ever have possibly dreamed of being. Like everything in my life was perfect. And you can't live in that world. It's not perfect.
Forever. Yeah.
But so once it started tapering off now the last month or so, it's like starting to get a little snappy at work again. Now I'm fucking pissed off. And now it's relationship issues with getting anger and stuff. And then I start passing a bunch of judgment like, oh, I wonder if I stopped smoking pot, if I would start to meditate more. And then it's judgment and criticism. And then it's not depression by any means. I'm still fucking thriving. I still feel great. Well, but like injuries and bullshit are bringing me down.
Let me ask David this then. Or go ahead.
Just on that thing. Who was it that was telling you this stuff?
Some fuck that I'm watching. That's what I'm saying. So like it plays into what you're saying, dude. This was meant to be.
I think it was meant to be.
And I don't want to make it selfish, obviously, but
bro, always make
I got
it selfish.
exactly what I needed out of life. I needed your energy was Joao and Greg at Guns and Geese. I needed David's energy. This is a boost of Costa Rica right here. This is all of the energy I want to surround myself with and live with and be. And so having the company of both of you guys over the span of a weekend will again change my life. And I know it. It's happening.
Well, and it's like David said earlier in the show, like you want to wake up and fill your cup, and then you can go out to the world, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is filling your cup. There's nothing selfish about that.
No,
yeah, we talked about that.
This is the thing, right? And it's like, what do I deserve? Who is the most important person in the world? And it's not coming from a place of being selfish. It's coming from a place of honoring yourself and really like knowing that in order for you to be of service, Johnny, and I know that, this is what you're doing. And you told me this great story last night. And I have to say, Johnny, like it's been such a brilliant experience to witness your transformation just in the last 6 months. I just want to say whatever you need, man, for support, I'm really here because I see you and I feel that you've got so much to give and you're passionate about being of service, and that's admirable. Well done, man.
Fuck yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you, man. You played a huge role in this gift. This that Costa Rica trip, man, it changed everything for me. It gave me enough, I don't know if I would say like empowerment, but it gave me enough realization into myself of being like, I am strong in the spiritual space. I feel it. Other people feel it. And if I don't always, when other people tell me, you comment on it, other people comment on it, it's like, fuck, I do have some energy. I do have some power here. And then, like I said, society is built around depleting that energy.
Absolutely.
And so as soon as I go home, it's like,
if you're anything like me, you probably deplete it yourself through imposter syndrome too.
For sure.
Because it's like, I'm not qualified to do that, you know?
Yeah.
But really, we're all qualified to do everything.
But it's not your, it's not, when you say I'm not qualified to do that, that again is just your mind trying to make you suffer. And you have to see it for what it is and go, and the great thing to do is create a dialogue. Say, as soon as it happens, go, it's you again. Okay.
Well,
I'm not entertaining this conversation today. And just have a conversation in it.
When I first opened the Jiu-Jitsu Academy, I struggled with that.
Yeah.
Because my coaches were world champions. And I'm I can't hold a candle to these guys. And now I'm going to try and follow in their footsteps and start academies. And then I realized it took me years, but it's like, I hold my own value.
Oh yeah.
And no one can hold a candle to what I can do. Just like I can't hold a candle to what you guys can do. Yeah. But what I provide is my own value. And has nothing to do with how they run their academies or how good at grapplers they are. They're doing them and I'm doing me. And over the last couple years, I'd say like, Marcus is a friend of mine. He's the greatest in the world. But when it comes to running a jiu-jitsu academy and building what I'm looking to build, I can go up against the best in the world.
Yeah.
And y'all can. You just have to believe it.
Right.
You know?
So on that point, Greg, on that point, it's a really good point because not everyone has that belief. Okay? Not everybody is born with that belief, that has that driving force to do it. So we've all got a set of like driving forces, right? Okay. What Johnny said is a good point because that's what we try and do. We're not trying to, that's what we do. That's the essence of our work with Weed and Medicine is our vision is to help people be empowered to see what their potential is and to have that belief and give people the tools and the skills to remove blockages around the heart so that the heart can open. And the ayahuasca is simply a tool for you to see who you are at your core level, at your source. The ayahuasca doesn't do anything to you that's not already there. But what it does, it's like a can opener and it opens the layers around the heart and you can see that. And then that gives you hope and that gives you belief. Because whatever you see during medicine and ceremony is actually who you are. And that's what it does. And that's what it's done for Johnny and that's what it does for everyone. And then along with the tools that we give people, it's just about empowerment and it's just about practice and training. So that's why we always have this 2-month integration because we want to hold people accountable and make sure that there is a structure to this. You know, there's a method in this. And it's not just, I'll go to the jungle, drink a cup of medicine and I'm going to be healed. You know, we need to, we can see ourselves in our best light of love and everything else. But the reason I see that Johnny's embraced that and he's really running with it is because, you know, he's passionate about change and he's seen it and he's applying the tools and that's what you've got to do. We have to understand that it takes training. It takes effort to create this mindset and to be mindful and to drop into the heart and practice these tools. And just with that as well, being patient and being gentle with ourselves, having self-compassion. It's okay to love yourself, man.
Yeah. You
know, it's all right. You know, we're all the same. We all just want connectivity and community and touch and relationship. We're all the same.
Well, and that's a perfect segue into the next question that I already had in my head. Because when people come into my academy, I get the question often like, dude, how the fuck do I start? What do I need to do? And I have some very specific, like one thing I'll tell people often is commit to a minimum of 2 to 3 nights a week for 90 days. Write that on your calendar. And if they want to know about diet or hydration, like a very, very particular things to tell people how to get started. If someone were to come to you and say, man, I listened to that podcast and I need a lot of that stuff, like literally, where do I start?
Well, we'll give you obviously our details, put it on the site.
Yeah. All of your links will be
Yeah.
below to be able to connect with you and have these conversations for sure.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
I mean, is it so different person to person that it's a hard question to answer, to say like, well,
or where do I start?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not. I mean, it comes from, for me, speaking my truth, it comes from deciding to choose love.
mm-hmm.
Okay. It takes courage to sit with ourselves and really look at our wounds and look at what makes us feel those feels. Where does that anger come from? Where does that guilt come from? Why do I feel so much shame? You know, a lot of my work involves like the power of forgiveness and really going deep on the inside, but it just takes a will to want to change. And the moment you decide, I give my word that the moment you decide that you want to make changes, and you take a journal and you write down what you want to do and you set an intention to do that, strange things start happening. The universe starts putting people in your way and you start meeting people and it's like, wow. And then you start to realize that this magic is actually real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it just takes one action, one step, and the most important thing is to have that intention to do so, to have the will.
So when you say like love yourself and have the will,
Yeah.
I mean, is that something like, hey, I think you talked about it yesterday a little bit. When you wake up, don't grab your phone. Spend 10 minutes to go through a couple of these exercises.
Absolutely.
And that could be your initial step to getting on the path of 10 minutes a morning.
Even 5 minutes.
Even 5 minutes a
5
morning.
minutes is good enough, man.
You think in order to really gain the benefits, a daily practice is what it needs to be?
Just to answer that question, it just starts with one breath, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, if you really want to be living in a way that's like as mindful as you can, you need to look at your life as a ceremony. So it's like you're walking through life ceremonially, which means every single breath is mindful. And the way I'm going to notice what I notice, and I'm going to see things and hear things and really be the observer of life, as opposed to being in it and having that energy of it, but actually to allow myself to flow through life. Okay. But it starts with one breath, 5 minutes a day, some humming. There's a really amazing technique called the havening, which you know I'm a practitioner of, and this is this
also known as tapping, correct?
No.
Oh, I'm fucking that up. My bad. Yeah. That's
so
right.
the tapping is the tapping. The havening is a really, really simple technique. It's very, very, very simple. If anyone wants to know more, just hit me up. I'll send you lots of free links about it, and it's so easy to do. And it's a case of giving your face and your arms and your hands a rub. And then as you're rubbing down in the downward motion, what you're doing is you're activating your deep sleep healing delta frequencies. So before you can do anything or make any change, what you have to do is you have to down regulate your nervous system. Because society right now are just they're overstimulated and everybody's in fight or flight. So everybody's waiting for doom and gloom and they're expecting. And the reason we do that is because we're giving ourselves a safety blanket because we believe that doom's coming. So if we're ready for it, it's not going to be as bad. But what we're doing is we're just lowering our frequency. So with the havening, within 30 to 60 seconds of this technique, your body down regulates. You activate your parasympathetic nervous system. You lower cortisol. You come out of fight or flight, and you down regulate. And that's where you start. So then if you just do that technique, and slow your breathing down. So it's like 5 or 6 seconds in, 5 or 6 seconds out. Within 2 to 3 minutes, you're a completely different person. So, and then it's a case of how much do I want to practice this? How much do I want to make this a part of my life? But that's a really, really good place to start because it's so simple. And it literally is just rubbing the face, down the arms and the hands. And it's also a really beautiful way of teaching yourself about self-love and self-compassion and being gentle. It's all right, man. We can be a warrior, but we can also be gentle and soft, man.
That exact one is like the main one that I brought home from Costa Rica for practice wise, because it's easy, it's simple, and it's effective. I used that in that ceremony when I held space.
Yeah.
I used that on her. And it's cool to watch it work on somebody. I felt it myself, but being able to be in David's position, I suppose you could say, and apply it or have somebody do it to down-regulate their nervous system in real time.
Yeah.
It's powerful, man.
I have to give kudos and big thanks to twin brothers, Dr. Ronald and Stephen Rudin, who discovered this technique, because it literally is groundbreaking. And you're going to see it like, this technique is huge because it's got the power to save people quickly. And also with this technique, you've actually got the ability within 10 to 20 minutes to remove a emotional pain that someone's carried since they was 5 years old. And that can be fear or guilt or shame, horrific stuff that really keeps them debilitated. With this technique, it's actually part of a neuroscience technique, and you can unlock that trauma because that trauma is stuck in the amygdala area of the brain. So using this technique and some imagination, using your creative imagination, your God-given imagination, you produce a calcium chemical in the brain that goes to the amygdala where the emotion is bound to the memory, and it literally just snaps it. It delinks it in one session, whereas psychotherapy can't do that in 10 to 20 sessions. It's insane. Wow. And that's a neuroscience tool, yeah. So we teach people that as well because as part of the journey of healing, as far as I'm concerned, in order to move forward, we need to understand the power of letting go and surrendering and removing these emotional blockages that keep us chained to the past. Yeah.
What would you say? Because I know a lot of my listeners are military, law enforcement that are coming from a lot of PTSD, very similar to what Chris has talked about. That's related to the job, right?
Yeah.
But they consider themselves professionals or they've grown up believing that plants that get you high are bad. Because I've heard this a lot. Like, man, I'd like to do ayahuasca, but I'm really nervous about that. There's something about it that doesn't sit well with them, or they're afraid, or some people just think like, bro, I don't need to do drugs to heal. They think it's like bullshit, hippie stuff. The people that have doubts about it or reservations, what would you say to those people?
You're perfectly allowed to have doubts. It's not for everyone. There's no doubt about it. It's not, this is deep work. This is really deep work, and not everybody's ready for that.
So if you have a feeling inside of you that's like feels those reservations, do you think maybe people should listen to it?
Absolutely.
Okay. And wait until something in their heart says, hey, it's time now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Right.
So never try and convince someone into ceremony.
No. I mean, that's, for me, is doing a disservice to it's a sacred plant. This plant goes back thousands and thousands of years. It's got a spirit just like us. And it's a very, very powerful medicine. But it's not for everybody. And when you're hearing the call and you feel that it's time and you really want to go down and experience it, you'll know. But I was the same. I had a lot of fear around it because that's how it's perceived in the media.
Yeah.
Because this plant heals. It actually changes lives. It's been proven to stop depression and change people's lives and give people hope, and it works. But it's not a one-stop fix or medicine. It shows you who you are from another person's perspective for the first time. So you can actually see yourself from the consciousness of a tree. And that's scary. I mean, I remember the first time I did it, and I was like, oh man. And I got my journal out, and I wrote down, you need to be more considered. And because I could just see myself as this inconsiderate ego, to be honest. And I was like, wow, that's great. That's the first time I saw it, but it made me feel a bit, but it's a good teaching and a good lesson, and that's what it does. So you have to be ready. But what I would say, that if you are hearing the call and you're feeling the call, contact me, and we can set up a call, because that's how I like to do it.
Okay.
And we can really go deep, and you can ask me questions, and I'm there to help and support people and guide them. But I'll never convince anyone.
Yeah.
If you're ready, like, I've got your back, as you know.
For listeners that are struggling from addiction problems, I've heard of a lot of people using ibogaine for that. Or ayahuasca, I know they're different but similar. Does your practice address addiction as well?
Yeah,
through ayahuasca?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I can say that I'm an addict. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
To be completely authentic. And I recognize that, and that's why I have my practices I do. And so addiction is, it's been a big part of my life. So I feel I've got a good handle on it, and I know how to approach it. And plant medicine, again, is ayahuasca is amazing for that, to help you with that. And again, it's been proven. I know there's science on that to show you that. Ibogaine is, I know it's very good working with like opioids, heroin, like really strong, heavy drugs. But addiction, I think it's an interesting one. I mean, you can have a whole conversation on addiction, because I feel that society is more addicted than ever.
Yeah.
People, especially to their phones. I mean, the phones has got everyone, right? But the tools that I use, I've got a program, Greg, and I've got this 8-week program where we teach people different tools and techniques to deal with addiction, because Gabor Mate says a lot of good things about addiction, and he believes, like I believe, that addiction is only stemming from unresolved trauma. Yeah. Because you're looking for something else to stimulate you, because you need to escape from where you are, because in your very moment you don't like that part of yourself, so you reach for your phone or a drink or whatever it is.
Yeah. Or vape pen.
Or this, I suppose.
No, it's fascinating, man. And as a police officer in Seattle dealing with addicts literally every day, you're right. I mean, as far as from my experience, almost all of those people, there's a lot of, I mean, you get the soccer moms that get addicted to opioids too, through a botched surgery or whatever the fuck. But the overwhelming majority of the homeless addicts in our cities they come from a fucking rough past, and they're ridden with traumas.
I know, man. It's heartbreaking, to be honest.
It's fucking nuts, man.
And it's a worldwide problem. It's
and what's even crazier than the fact that they just live on the streets and are fucking suffering out there is that it's become completely normal. Tyler talked about it on, was it Friday? I don't remember what night it was. We were out front talking, and he's like, yeah, going to work, there was 2 people having sex on the sidewalk downtown Seattle, or I think it was Ballard, and everybody's just walking right by him, and nothing's even surprising about it anymore. Just a weird place that we've allowed all of this pain and suffering to just become normal,
I mean, mental health is it's a big driving force for me to serve, right? Because I had a breakdown. I've had a couple of breakdowns in my life. When I was 20, I had my first breakdown due to a good amount of suffering. So I understand mental health enough to know that it's out of control, and especially in the US. I think I read there's like 250 million people that are on prescription antidepressants or are clinically depressed. I mean, it's insane, right?
Yeah, I heard a statistic the other day, and I heard it on the internet, so it must be factual and true. And I don't even remember it exactly, but it was something like the average American now holds an amount of anxiety inside of them that would have had them admitted to a psychiatric ward in the 50s. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Doesn't sound that far off.
no, bro. Fucking everybody. 250 million people are on antidepressants, like,
Or are clinically depressed.
or clinically depressed. Like,
Yeah.
we got a fucking problem, man.
Yeah.
So, well, fuck, man. We're at 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Wow.
It fucking goes by quick, huh?
It goes by quick. Yeah.
And we don't have to wrap this up. Is there anything else specific to your practice or things that you feel are important to share? Putting you on the spot.
I like to be on the spot, and I also like to allow myself time to think.
Yeah.
I think the important message is that, you know, to not be so hard on yourself and just to take it easy, and, you know, just allow yourself the opportunity to find out more about this work, you know. And also I think meditation, like what's your view on meditation? You know, like a lot of people have a different opinion on it and what it means, and I can't do it. I can't switch off the mind. And just want to invite you to, you know, just go and find a candle and actually just light the candle and understand that the candle is your point of attention. And as you breathe in, say to yourself, as I breathe in, I'm looking at the candle. And as I breathe out, I feel safe, peaceful, and calm. As I breathe in, I'm looking at the candle. And as I breathe out, I feel safe, peaceful, and calm. And just notice, if you just do this for 5 minutes, notice when you have a thought or some chatter that comes to your mind, all you have to do is just go back to the candle and stare at the candle. And this is meditation. This is a mindful meditation. This is something that, you know, a Lama could teach you. You know, this is just very basic mindful meditation, but that's what meditation is. It's just paying attention. So when people say, I can't meditate, I can't sit still, I can't quieten my mind, we're not trying to do anything. We're paying attention. And just by bringing your attention to that candle, you're stopping all the chatter and you're finding a place of peace. And that there is meditation.
I think I'm going to try that tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Because like me and Johnny both told you yesterday, some of the techniques felt very powerful, but that last meditation one, my brain, exactly what you were saying, just wanted to fucking like start going all these different directions. And I kept trying to try and like reel it back in. And I remember thinking during the exercise, I'm like, dude, I got too much shit going on right now inside of my head to feel like I can relax and find any type of, I don't want to say Zen, because that's not what it's about, you know. And you even said afterwards, you said it's good. The more shit you think about and then pull yourself back to center, you're defragging as you do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're removing all of your clutter. All this clutter that's in your subconscious. It's like cleaning, it's pulling it out. So we're not trying to do anything. And actually trying is not a word that, you know, when you try to do something, you're either doing it or you're not, right? So when you have the thoughts come into your mind, instead of trying to not think, you just allow them to pass, but then you come back to just staring at the candle. And it's remembering, I'm staring at the candle. It's coming back. So what we did with one of the meditations was a mantra meditation, and we used a mantra. So, you know, the candle flame is a visual. It's a visual
mantra, basically.
You know, and like music's a sound. I mean, let's explain it like this. If you was to put on the song that makes you feel absolutely amazing, and you go to your playlist and you play it and it lasts for 7 minutes, that's meditation right there.
Yeah.
Because you're there, you're in the moment, you're feeling the feelings, and there's no chatter in the mind. So it doesn't matter. There's no rules on this stuff, man. Just listen to the music that makes you happy. watch comedy if it makes you laugh. Laughter's a brilliant medicine. We forget to laugh. We forget what makes us laugh, right? We get caught up in the mundanes of society, and let's keep it simple. It's very easy to pay attention. We just have to pay attention and give intention. Intention and attention is key.
Awesome, man. Well, like I said, man, I'm gonna have your Instagram, your website, all the links below. And Johnny Martinez, my homie, you jumped in a fair amount this podcast.
Yeah, a little bit.
But for people that didn't get an adequate chance to get to know you, I just want to put your own podcast on here because you started it after Costa Rica, and it's fucking good, man. And so,
appreciate it.
Yeah, give a little shout out where they can find you and that podcast, and then we'll wrap this up.
Cool. Yeah. Johnny Martinez. You guys can follow my Instagram is Johnny Jiu-Jitsu. And then, I started a podcast up after Costa Rica, and Greg kind of empowered that. So being able to sit with you guys is another pretty crazy, crazy experience for me. So, that's called the Warrior Healer Podcast. And that's on all platforms, and there's also a Instagram account for that. So,
fuck yeah,
check it out.
All right, well, I appreciate you guys, and as this gets closer, the retreat in January, I'm happy to share, push that out, and the last retreat, it was. I feel like there's so many more people that need that. That the foundation of what we need to do is really just get the message out there. Absolutely. And then allow people to receive that. And I don't think you'll have any problem having the right people attend this one. I think it's going to be cool, man.
Oh, this is going to be a really special, and they're all special, they're all really, really special. But we love this land where we're doing this retreat. It's very, very sacred, and it feels what we need,
Yeah. Is this January one that we're talking about, is it open to anybody?
Yes.
Okay, because I know the last one it was geared towards first responders.
Sure.
But this is, hey, if you need help, you're interested, let's go.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Absolutely, man. If you need help, you reach out. First thing is you apply, you fill out a form, then you're sent an application form after that. There's, as you know, you've got a lot of strict questions, especially to do with the medical and any SSRIs or something that you're taking that might be not good for the medicine to use. So there's an application, and then once the application's fine, we go on a call and I have a chat with you, and you can ask me any questions that you want, and we can go deeper and get you booked in. It's only going to be, we're going to probably have a maximum of 15, maybe 20 people max.
Okay.
So it's going to be an intimate group, but there's lots of facilitators there, and it's going to be special, man.
And the dates again?
It's from January the 5th to January the 12th.
Okay.
So there's 1 month preparation, 7 days together, and then 2 months of integration. So, it's you're getting what you need. You're getting what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not what you want.
Not what you want.
All right. Well, thank you. And I'm sure we're going to do this again, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, just thank you for giving us the opportunity here, We the Medicine, to share our story. And we're really looking forward to serving your community and doing what we can to help. We've got another workshop this weekend, so looking forward to that. And thank you very much.
Awesome, brother.